Today we're going to take a quick look to see which is better, an S&P 500 ETF or a dividend ETF. We're looking at the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF VU, the Schwab S&P 500 Index Fund SWPPX, and we're looking at a Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, VIG, the iShares Quartz Dividend Growth ETF DGRO, and of course the famous Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF SCHD. If you're enjoying this type of content, please remember to hit that subscribe button. It's totally free and it'll really help out the channel. We're going to start off here with the summary. We're going to look at the Schwab S&P 500 fund. Total assets of 111.8 billion. Inception date 1997. The fund strategy seeks to track the total return of the S&P 500 index. We go over to VU. It's basically the same strategy. VU has 1.4 trillion, a lot bigger fund. The inception date is 2010. As we go over to the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Index Fund, 106 billion total assets. Inception date 2006. Investment seeks to track the performance of the U.S. Dividend Growth Index that measures the investment return of common stocks of companies that have a record of increasing dividends over time. As we go over to DGRO, 31.4 billion, inception date 2014. This investment seeks to track the investment results of the Morningstar U.S. Dividend Growth Index. As we go over to SCHD, 70.3 billion, inception date 2011. The investment seeks to track as closely as possible before fees and expenses the total return of the Dow Jones U.S. Dividend 100 Index. You guys could read the rest. I just wanted to give you a quick summary here. As we go over to the next slide, fees and expenses. The Schwab Fund 0.02, VU 0.03, VIG 0.05, DGRO 0.08, SCHD 0.06. So as you could see, DGRO is the most expensive. As we go down the quotes, 87 for the Schwab Fund, 520 for VU, the most expensive out of the bunch. VIG 194, DGRO 61, Schwab almost $28. The dividend yields, that's what we like, guys. I'm a dividend investor here. Annually, 1.21 for the Schwab Fund, 1.23 for VU. Quarterly, everything else is quarterly. VIG 166, 216 for DGRO, SCHD 349. The beta for all of them is 1 or less, which makes it a relatively conservative fund. As we go over to the Morningstar ratings, I like looking at the 10-year rating. They're all basically 5 stars except VIG, which is a 3-star. And the historic returns, you could take a quick look and see for yourselves. It's very important to be diversified, as you could see by the next slide. A growth of a $10,000 investment. As you could see, the S&P 500 index funds, Schwab and VU, basically outpace all the dividend ETFs. So it's important to be diversified. It all depends on your situation. But I personally have both dividend funds and S&P 500 index funds. I own most of these funds. As we go over to the actual performance, you could see right down the list here how they performed since inception. That's what I like looking at. And it looks like 14.5 is VU. But you got to remember, some of these are in existence longer than the others. This slide breaks down the performance by year. You guys could take a quick look and go right down the list here. As we go over into the portfolio, you guys could see the makeup of all the funds. I'm just going to let you guys take a look at this slide here. I'm going to break down the top 10 holdings for SWPPX, and VU are basically the same. You go down the list, you got Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, Berkshire, Broadcom, Apple, Class C, and Tesla. You guys could take a quick look at the other three funds, which have different companies in them. As we go over to the sector weightings, it's usually the top three are IT, healthcare, and financials. As we shoot over to the market cap, basically giant, large, and medium, and it's all in the US. It's very important to be diversified, as you could see from the previous slides. The S&P 500 funds usually do better in the long run than any other fund. So it's very important to have some sort of S&P 500 fund in your portfolio. And if you love dividends, I also have dividend funds. I like the dividend. So it's really up to your personal preference and your situation. All this information is right off the Charles Schwab website. I am not a financial planner. Do your research, talk with your financial planner before you buy any type of security. Thanks so much for watching.